Happening now, Nebraska charging ahead with lawsuits against California and the Environmental Protection Agency.
They are saying you can't do business in California unless you agree to our very radical electric vehicle mandate for trucking companies.
Attorney General Mike-Hilgers says if these mandates aren't stopped, Nebraskans will pay the price. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hilgers says California has no right to make rules that affect Nebraska.
Which is why he is suing them. Channel 8's Mackenzie Johnson joins us live now. She heard from a truck driver about how these mandates would affect him.
Rod and Megan, trucking companies say switching to electric would be far too expensive. And I talked to a truck driver here at Shoemaker's truck stop who says he would have to quit his job if his company moved to zero emission.
If I could only run 200 miles a day, I couldn't do this job unless they paid me 3 times as much as they are.
Craig Monroe tells me a new mandate in California could force him out of the job he's been doing for more than 2 decades. Many truckers at Shoemaker's on Monday say their companies wouldn't let them talk about the issue. But Monroe agreed to be interviewed if we didn't show his face. California's regulations say any trucking companies doing business in their state must get rid of diesel trucks and switch over to zero emission by 2035. And it's not only the Golden State that's imposing new electric vehicle rules. The Environmental Protection Agency is implementing strict emission standards as well. Nebraska-Attorney-General-Mike-Hilgers announcing on Monday that our state is fighting against California and the EPA. He says California's mandate in particular could create problems for consumers.
The level of cost that it would entail, because these things don't have nearly the same kind of range, they can't take the same payload capacity, would flow, and we know that those costs would flow through to customers, would have a devastating impact on Nebraska businesses and Nebraska customers.
About 30% of all of America's imports arrive in California, according to Hilgers. Governor Jim-Pillen agrees that these lawsuits are vital.
We feed the world, we save the planet. The ports up and down in California, you're going to tell us we can't get our product to the ports? It's beyond comprehension.
Local trucking companies say a switch to electric trucks would be far too costly. The price of a zero-emission truck could be 2 to 3 times as much as a diesel-fueled one, and drivers wouldn't be able to go nearly as far without having to stop and recharge the battery. For a truck driver, that means they lose out on a good chunk of their paycheck.
I would be able to drive a lot less miles for a lot less time, which would mean I'd make a lot less money unless they paid me a lot more per mile. I don't think we could run very long days if I had to charge my truck every 200 miles.
Many involved in these lawsuits say they're not opposed to lowering emissions, but they believe this is an unrealistic way to go about it. We'll be keeping you updated as these lawsuits move forward. For now, reporting in Lincoln, Mackenzie Johnson, Channel 8 News.